Best quarterback rating in the National Football League, trailing only Jim Kelly, who is out for the rest of the regular season, so his rating is locked in. And Warren stands to benefit greatly. If he can finish in the top 3, he'll have a bonus based on average salaries of the top 3 players in the league. Somewhere around $1 million is the speculation if he finishes that high. But he told us yesterday he doesn't think about it. If he plays well, it'll come. Meanwhile, he says all great quarterbacks are judged on getting their team to the Super Bowl. That's what he's hoping to do. He passes here, does Moon, complete to Givens, who's tripped up on a shoestring tackle at midfield. Tackle made by Barney Bussey, who grabbed Givens right on the shoe and took him down.
Nice tackle by Bussey. Givens is trying to get upfield on the right side of your screen. He's going to try and get upfield, stop, turn upfield for the first down. But the pursuit comes from the inside by Bussey, and Givens cannot get away.
Third down play coming up. The Oilers have converted 5 of 9 this afternoon. Bussey and his teammates hoping to stop him on 3rd and 5. Boone's pass complete to a wide open Hill for an Oiler first down. Drew Hill gets away from Eric Thomas, makes the catch, and the Oilers have a first down in Cincinnati territory at the 32-yard line. 17-yard gain.
Well, Hill runs a stretch pattern downfield, then breaks to the outside, and Eric Thomas can't quite catch up to him. You see the water splashing around down there, folks. The field is wet. It's slick, which should give an advantage to the receivers because, once again, they know where they're going, and the defensive people have to react to their moves.
Opening minutes of the 4th quarter, Cincinnati leading by 7, but Houston threatening with a first down at the Bengal 32. Moves past Jeffries. He has it at the 25. Jeffries and Fulcher having a little discussion. Probably not about the weather.
You know, it takes a lot of nerve for Moon and these Oilers to throw this kind of ball. You see, the defensive back is going to be right there by Jeffries. Watch. Now, this ball is in the air, and Jeffries sees it, and he just stops and adjusts to it. If Jones would ever turn around in that kind of a play, which is a big chance for cornerback to take his eyes off the receiver, he'd have an easy interception.
2nd and 2 for the Oilers. They're at the 24 of Cincinnati. Moon in trouble, lets it go. Well, they called one worse than that, intentional grounding, earlier. Tony Jones was the intended receiver. Here's our 10-minute ticker. Buffalo now seemingly on the way to victory against Miami. That'll decide that AFC East. Philadelphia trying to put the stoppers on the Dallas playoff hopes. Pittsburgh, boy, they're still alive. The Steelers are amazing. They're still in this AFC Central hunt as you see the other scores. Here it's 27-20 Cincinnati, but Houston threatening again. 3rd and 2. Moon for the end zone, has a man. It's knocked away at the last minute. Jones was behind the defender Fulcher, who recovered at the last second to knock it away.
What a sensational play by Fulcher on the right side of your screen. It looks like it's touchdown for sure, but Fulcher just gets a hand up on a pass that was slightly underthrown. Had this ball been out in front and Jones not have to turn around and wait on it, it would have been touchdown. But credit Fulcher with a great recovery.
Garcia now to try a 42-yard field goal. No good. It hit the upright. Garcia's kick hits the upright. And it stays 27-20 Cincinnati. 12:23 left in the 4th of this crucial game.
The Football League is brought to you by Oldsmobile. Stop by your Oldsmobile dealer and see what's new from the new generation of Olds. By Northwest Airlines. Northwest's World Perks free travel program lets you fly free fast. by Tylenol Cold. Nobody cares for your cold like Tylenol Cold. And by Zenith. The quality goes in before the name goes on.
Tom Hammond and Joe Namath at Riverfront Stadium with our producer Tom Roy, our director Brian Sheriff. Bengals trying to stay warm on the sideline. They have scored 4 of their last 5 possessions. They have a 3 tight end formation here, and they'll run it with Brooks. For one of the few times today, the Oilers stopped Brooks for a gain of 1. John Grimsley did the honors that time. Grimsley is an Ohioan. He was born in Canton, Ohio, home of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Let's go back to that field goal attempt by Garcia, which hit the upright.
The left upright, almost to the top right here. Now the ball is going to hit and then kick left short of the 3 points. Cincinnati's reaction, yes. Hello, they're happy.
Think this isn't a big game? They're into every play. Will Cincinnati get conservative now, Joe? No. There's the answer to that as Boomer goes up top and hits his receiver, Brown. Eddie Brown with a first down across the 40 to the 44-yard line where he's tackled by Richard Johnson. 17-yard gain.
Excellent pass protection for Boomer Esiason. Watch this pass protection. No one even gets close to Esiason this time as he's able to stand in there and deliver to a wide open Eddie Brown. Yes, sirree. Richard Johnson, 23, was giving Brown plenty of room that time.
Eddie Brown, who went to the Pro Bowl in the Super Bowl year of '88 or after that season. Number 2 receiver for Cincinnati this year. Esiason goes the other side, intended for Eddie Brown, and he can't quite catch up to it. Chris Dishman drew the coverage on Brown that time.
And Dishman did a good job on Brown. Brown couldn't quite come out of his break. Brown first faked toward the middle of the field, then tried to get outside. And if you watch Chris Dishman, number 28 on the right of your screen, he's going to force Eddie Brown to run a kind of a rounded off pattern. Right there, that little bump, which is illegal, I might add, slowed Brown down just enough to where he couldn't get to the ball. You're only allowed to touch that receiver, put your hands on him, give him a chuck in a 5-yard area from the line of scrimmage. Chris Dishman got away with one that time.
There's Brown against Dishman again. Brown is wide to the right and now in motion. Hand off to Brooks. Brooks will be short of the first down. Stopped at about the 48-yard line by Ezra Johnson, who's come into that defensive line for the Oilers.
Ezra Johnson, 14 years, and he still has the quickness. He can still harass the passer back there. He's in right now because Doug Smith is having some problems with his back, but Ezra Johnson has been a good find for these Oilers. He's played well for them.
This Houston team not quite as desperate for a win by Cincinnati. They can still make the playoffs despite a loss today. Not so for the Bengals. They must win today's game. Pittsburgh is winning. Brooks. Stopped by Grimsley, but not until he has a Bengal first down.
Huge third down play for the Bengals. Going to hit off the left side of your screen behind Joe Walter. And, whoa, my, what a block by Moyer, 73. A nice hole there for Brown to run, for Brooks to get through.
This much maligned Cincinnati offense has been equal to the task today. 353 yards on the day, well above their seasonal average and approaching the productivity of last year. Brooks has been the man that's done the most damage. He is approaching 200 yards rushing. Harold Green gets the carry as Brooks asked to come out to catch his breath. And Green, the rookie from South Carolina, second-round draft choice, doesn't get much. Smith and Grimsley, the linebackers, on the tackles. Coming up tonight on NBC, an NBC News special, First Person with Maria Shriver. She features the story of Southern Cal quarterback Todd Marinovich. Every move regarding his young life made with one goal in mind, for him to grow up to be a star quarterback. Project engineered by his father Marv Marinovich, the one they call Robo QB, designed by Dad to win. Plus other entertainment coming up tonight, all here on NBC. Second 2nd and 9 for the Bengals. Brooks back in, goes in motion. Boomer under pressure, lets it fly, incomplete. McGee streaking downfield as Esiason went down on the rush from Meads, who was blitzing from an outside linebacker spot.
Esiason does a good job getting this thing off here. Johnny Meads is in there putting good pressure on him that time, and Esiason got rid of it just in time before he got sacked. 3rd down and 9 situation. Another critical play for the offense of the Bengals, and certainly for Houston's defense.
2 of 8 on the 3rd down conversions by the Bengals. They lead the Oilers 27-20 with 8:23 left in the game. Eric Ball in the backfield with Brooks. Brooks didn't get much. He's to the 37, tackled there by Leander Knight. They're going to have to punt on 4th down. Lee Johnson quickly on the field to punt. And the Oilers just as quickly get their receiving team on, with Gerald McNeil deep, standing back at his 10. Gerald McNeil back to the Oilers. Johnson has kicked 11 inside the 20 this season. That's what he's going to try to do here. Let the clock, play clock and game clock tick down as far as they can. Looks like they'll even take the delay of game and 5-yard penalty. Using the clock as much as they can and getting it down to 7 minutes 30 seconds. And giving Johnson a little more room to try to deaden it inside the 20. You looked at these two teams on paper before the game, and the way Houston played against a great Kansas City defense a week ago, you thought the Bengals would be in serious trouble. But there's something about the home field and something about the desperation of a team in a must-win game, and something about some of the Bengal players getting a little healthier than they were in their loss to the Raiders. And it's been a whole different Cincinnati team. Johnson's punt. There's a flag down. The punt hit an Oiler. It hit McNeil, and it's out of bounds. No one had possessions before the ball went out of bounds. Now, meanwhile, back upfield at the original line of scrimmage, there's a penalty flag after that 40-yard kick, and it will be against Cincinnati. So instead of having the ball out of bounds at about the 1 or 2 yard line, they're going to make Cincinnati kick it over.
Well, Sam Weiss is upset. Leo Barker, number 53 for the Bengals, seemed awful upset. I don't know if we'll get to see.
We got illegal hands to the face. Number 65. Before the kick, it will be 4th down with a 10-yard penalty.
Well, it wasn't Barker.
There is no 65, so that's numbers in error, unless there was a phantom out there somewhere.
Yeah, I'd like to know who they mean, because
so would Sam.
There is no number 65.
80 yards and penalties against the Bengals today. Sam says, we got no 65. What are you talking about? Well, could be a big break for the Oilers. The Bengals had one earlier on a fumbled kickoff and a penalty against Houston nullified. McNeil backpedals to the 9. Good job of returning by McNeil, who then fumbles the ball.
What do you think's going on down there, folks?
I'd be afraid to ask.
You can bet they're fighting for that ball. There's none of that business. I got it. It's mine. They're fighting for it.
Well, wait a minute. Now the officials, yes, Bengals ball. The Bengals came out of there saying they had it. It took the official a moment or two to agree, and Jack Pardee sees McNeil fumble a punt, and Ed Brady of Cincinnati falls on the football for the big key turnover that could decide this game.
Well, you know, McNeil had trouble with an earlier punt, too, that he let get away from him. This time he catches it, but whenever he gets turned upfield, Francis, the rookie linebacker, James Francis, just jars that ball right out of McNeil's hands.
Give Francis the credit for punching it loose. Then Brady fighting and scrapping every inch, finally gets control of that ball somehow in that pileup.
But it was James Francis who got his hand in there to jar the ball loose.
First down, Cincinnati at the Oiler 20. The Oilers troubles with the fumbles. Brooks dancing to the 15-yard line. Clock down to 6:50, and Cincinnati protecting a 27-20 lead. Johnny Meads on that tackle. 3 tight end formation for Cincinnati. Rodney Holman, 6'3", 238. Eric Caddis, 6'5", 251. Jim Riggs, 6'5", 245. 3 tight ends in the lineup.
I'd expect Boomer Esiason to go ahead and run the football. The Bengals will try and run it and settle for the 3 points. Sure, they'd like to get 7, but if they get 3 points and the clock down to about 3.5 minutes, they'll have a 10-point lead. That's pretty good position.
Play action pass. Esiason hits one of those tight ends. Caddis, touchdown.
Fake the run, sure, and then throw the pass to Caddis. He was wide open. I was fooled, and more importantly, the Oilers were fooled.
Breach's extra point is through the uprights. Eric Caddis with his first touchdown of the season. It comes on his 10th catch, and it gives the Bengals a 2-touchdown lead. Second half to take a 34-20 lead over the Houston Oilers. No surprise to Boomer Esiason. This is the National, dated September 5th. Boomer Esiason says he guarantees the Bengals will be in Tampa for the Super Bowl. Well, speaking to the man that invented the Super Bowl guarantee, they did look like a Super Bowl team today as they've come from behind to play great football.
You know, Boomer Esiason, give him credit. He has a bad leg. He's playing hurt and doing a great job. I'll tell you, I'm surprised that the Oilers haven't controlled this game, but hey, Cincinnati, the more desperate of the two teams, have made the big plays, and Houston hasn't made as many big plays as they're normally used to.
Here's that last touchdown to Eric Caddis, his first touchdown of the season.
Sure, when you have a running back that's gained 202 yards, you've got to honor that fake. Boomer faked to Brooks, and then looky here, Caddis is outside all alone because the linebackers first checked Brooks for the handoff.
Caddis out of Michigan. His hometown is Cincinnati. In fact, he was Cincinnati High School Player of the Year at Colerain High School, an all-city fullback and also a basketball player. And the hometown fans loved that one as Caddis got the TD to put them up by 14. Now, Warren Moon in the run and shoot. Remember how explosive they are. They can come back in a hurry. Moon's pass almost intercepted, batted around, and finally falls incomplete. Eric Thomas with tight coverage on Drew Hill almost picked it off, but did manage to break it up. Boy, Thomas' return to the lineup today has been a key factor in this game, I think.
It really has, Tom. Thomas has been a key figure, breaking up plays, making plays. Here he nearly gets the interception. It's a combination of coverage, zone, and man. Fulcher you saw behind Thomas. And Thomas would have liked to have had that one. He'd like to get it back. Of course, Warren Moon, had he had that ball out in front a little more, might have had a completion.
That's how close the game could hinge on those inches either way. 2nd and 10 for the Oilers. Moon rolls, fires, incomplete, a little low, intended for Curtis Duncan. Carl Carter covering Duncan on the play. It'll be 3rd and 10 coming up for the Oilers. Recheck the other scores. Easy wins apparently on tap for Buffalo, Philadelphia, and Pittsburgh. That is a final in Pittsburgh, so the Steelers still alive for the divisional championship, and Pittsburgh can clinch that wild card if the Oilers can come back and beat Cincinnati and Seattle loses tonight. Meanwhile here, the fans getting into it. Jones knocked the pass down intended for Haywood Jeffries, and it'll be 4th down, and the Oilers must punt.
Well, the best thing about that exchange for the Oilers is it didn't take a minute to throw 3 incomplete passes. There's Rod Jones, who made a beautiful play going over the top to knock that pass down.
And is this the next last rated defense in the NFL?
Look at this. Is this interference? Well, if you're in Houston, you might think it is, but the official thought it was a good defensive play.
The Bengals defense has held Warren Moon to only 7 completions and 18 attempts this half. And Houston has to spend a timeout. What happened, Joe? Is the play clock running down as they try to get the punt team on?
Who cares? You know, if the play clock runs down, it's only a 5-yard penalty. It's 4th down anyway. There must be some confusion with the Oilers in that. Do they think they need to go for it on 4th down from this part of the field? Heck, they need 10 yards.
Boy, that would be a very risky call at your own 20 on a 4th and 10. But you're down by 14 with only 5:31 left, and that apparently is the discussion. Kevin Gilbride is the offensive coordinator, Jack Pardee the head coach, and Warren Moon the quarterback. That's the Houston Brain Trust discussing the options here.
Well, I guess they figure if they have to punt the ball, that Cincinnati wouldn't even handle the punt, and then they could run some time off the clock with running plays. It looks like Moon on 4th down is going to give it another shot.
Yep, Warren Moon heading back onto the field.
It's 4th and 10 from their own 20-yard line.
Well, if anybody's capable of pulling it off, it would be Warren Moon in the run and shoot. Clock restarted.
Well, if you're Cincinnati, what you don't want to do, Tom, is get caught up in all this and play man for man and give up the big gainer, maybe the touchdown. Cincinnati should still play the combination man zone coverage. When I say combination man zone, Tom, folks at home, I'm talking about the people, the linebackers and the corners underneath running with the receivers, and then Fulcher and another safety, probably Bussey, backing everyone up to prevent the long gainer.
You know, Joe, they had restarted the clock, and I couldn't figure out why after the timeout, and that was a problem. They held up play until they reset it to 5 minutes, 40 seconds. 4th down and 10. Incomplete. Bengals take over.
On the right side, Moon throws a ball that's going to go through the hands of the receiver. Would have been a good catch. I mean, I don't know what else Warren Moon can do except hand the ball to Duncan. That time Duncan just didn't hold on to it. Excellent pass by Warren Moon under heavy pressure.
Now the Bengals take over. They've scored a touchdown 5 of their last 7 possessions, and they've got James Brooks, who's gained 202 yards. And he'll lose a couple on that one. That might knock him back under 200 as Brooks is stopped for a loss.
Well, the last play we saw on the incomplete pass, the reaction naturally is not a happy one. Duncan had his hands on the ball but just couldn't come up with it. Take a look at how the Cincinnati coaches felt on that 4th down and 10 play. Certainly how they felt with the result. Sure.
James Brooks already today has broken his own team record for rushing yards in one game. And 200 yards is the most in the history of this Bengal franchise, and he's trying to pull through this victory. Caddis has it again for his 2nd touchdown. Can lose a guy 6'5", 250, but
well, you know what? that no one expected another pass. No one. Now, that was just a good call that worked by Cincinnati, and Caddis got open. Certainly, Pardee and his Oilers are expecting Cincinnati to run the clock out or run the football, but, hey, Sam Weiss crossed him up.
Another blocked extra point. The Oilers blocked their second of the day, but it's only academic at this point with 4:44 left. What did Boomer say? The Oilers bring out the best and worst of the Bengals. The best today. The jungle, Riverfront Stadium, a little nippy today, but rocking nevertheless. Back to the wall in a must-win game. The Bengals have come through with flying colors. Certainly earned their stripes this afternoon with this big victory, if it holds up. Again, don't discount the run and shoot, but a 20-point lead with 4:44 left and a squib kick handled by the Oilers. There's that last touchdown as Caddis was wide open.
Well, sure, the Oilers are going for the run fake right here. You've got to pay attention to Brooks, and Sean Smith just can't quite, or excuse me, Fuller doesn't get to Boomer quick enough, and look at Caddis. There isn't anyone around him. Hometown boy made good today, huh?
Absolutely, a game for him to remember. He'll have one of those game balls tucked away somewhere, as you see the flag on the back of the helmets, honoring our troops in the Persian Gulf area. And it's amazing how the home cooking has worked. Look at the blowout victories by each team at home in recent years. The only exception, that game in the Astrodome 26-24 last year. Moon has missed his last 6 attempts. Make it 7 in a row. And he's only 7 of 19 this half. Rod Jones on the coverage of Jeffries there.
You know, you've got a question right now. Should you have Warren Moon in the game? I know your first stringers want to win this thing. Jeffries getting inside of Jones, and then again, the ball was underthrown because of heavy pressure. But I mean, realistically, you're 20 points down with 4 minutes and 30 seconds left to go. The man that pulls the trigger, number 1, maybe the most valuable player in the National Football League. I don't think I'd have him in the game right now.
Poor second half for Moon. The numbers for the game don't look too bad. And it seemed as the weather got colder, the Oilers got worse. There's finally a completion to break the string, and it's a good one, but Givens fumbles. Givens fumbles the ball, nothing but black shirts around it, and the Bengals have it. When it rains, it pours. The roof caving in on the Oilers in the second half. Carl Carter recovered Givens' fumble, the 3rd turnover by the Oilers today. Houston scored on its first possession of the 3rd quarter to break a halftime tie. Since that time, Cincinnati has absolutely dominated every phase of the game.
Well, there the ball gets knocked loose, and here, watch all the black shirts. I mean, there won't be a white jersey around there. There's 4 black shirts, 5 black shirts in there. Well, you know, the old biorhythms were bopping around in favor of the orange and black today, and Coach Pardee's Oilers just wasn't their day.
But it's not over for the Oilers. They still have a chance for the playoffs. Cincinnati will remain alive, obviously, with the victory today, and that'll face another must-win game for them against arch-rival Cleveland next week. Although, given Cleveland's recent record, the task wouldn't seem so difficult as these Houston Oilers, who, remember, come off a terrific performance at Kansas City a week ago, and in fact had 2 great wins back-to-back, and apparently had gotten that run and shoot into high gear.
You know, that was an interesting statistic. We just saw that turnover ratio, 3 turnovers for the Oilers and none for the Bengals. Not to have a turnover on a day like today where it's cold, it's slippery, and it's wet out there is quite a feat. The Bengals have earned this one.
And a tip of the cap there to James Brooks, who got the wind knocked out of him, apparently. Brooks has 200 yards rushing today against a good defense. Brooks with 200 yards rushing. That's the first time in Cincinnati franchise history that's ever happened against a defense that's 5th in the NFL against the rush. Eric Ball gets a yard. Ball has done a good job blocking and on special teams today. It's one of those games in which everyone for the Bengals has contributed. Childress and Grimsley combine on the stop for Houston. Here's a 3rd and long coming up for Cincinnati. 3rd down and 9. The clock shows 3:05. Brooks officially 201 yards this afternoon. There are the official totals. And you remember, Joe, early in the game, the Cincinnati rushing game couldn't get going at all. Houston stopped it in its tracks.
Oh, it couldn't go anywhere. I remember that, sure, in the first quarter. I thought they were wasting their time running the football early in the game.
Right. I remember you saying that Cincinnati would have to pass. But the rush has been potent. In fact, all phases have. Here's the ticker, and those are all finals now. Buffalo wins the AFC East. Philadelphia already had clinched a wild card. They can get the home field with another win after winning today. Pittsburgh still alive for the AFC Central or a wild card. Chicago heading to the playoffs, ending the Buccaneers' faint hopes. Atlanta beats the Rams, and the Jets add to the woes of the Patriots. Those 2 scores, Chicago, Tampa, and Rams, Atlanta, not yet final. Here we've reached the 2-minute warning. Cincinnati leading Houston 40-20. Children's Charities player of the game is James Brooks of Cincinnati. McDonald's and NBC will donate $5,000 on behalf of all the players selected in today's games to Ronald McDonald Children's Charities to help give kids a better tomorrow. What a performance by Brooks. Well, Brooks has twice been to the Pro Bowl, not selected in the balloting this year, but the 10-year veteran out of Auburn looked like the James Brooks of old today. He was fantastic. Here's the punt taken by Gerald McNeil on a fair catch at the 25-yard line. James Brooks, coincidentally, Joe, has a chance now. Needs less than 100 yards against Cleveland next week for 1,000 rushing on the season.
Good chance he can get it against that Cleveland bunch, too.
So Cincinnati, apparently with a victory today, if they beat Cleveland next week, would then have to turn around and root for the Oilers to beat the Steelers.
Yes, a lot of, I'm still surprised that Warren Moon is in there. Once again, I think the team should stick together and you should keep fighting for the win. But there's 1 minute and 52 seconds left, and I think this is the most valuable player in the league, certainly to this point. And you got him out in the field now, 20 points down.
That pass behind Givens and incomplete, much to the delight of those left in a crowd of 60,000 that was here at Riverfront Stadium today.
There comes a time when you've got to say, okay, we're not going to win this game. And the Oilers refuse to accept that at this point. But that man right there, number 1, is so valuable to this run and shoot offense, to any offense the way he plays. You've got to protect him. And right now, with Cincinnati knowing that they've got to pass and the rushers coming, you're exposing Warren Moon to unnecessary hits.
Oilers now face a must-win game of their own next week at home against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh will emerge from today's play as the sole leader in the AFC Central. That pass incomplete, almost intercepted by Bussey. Moon took a hit, and there's just what you're speaking of.
I hope we get to look at that, because that was a tough hit to the face. Moon's bleeding right now, and he's got to leave. He is hurt, sport. Oh, boy. I don't know what's going on with the flags out there, but watch what happens to Warren Moon.
That's James Francis, the rookie linebacker. They've got him right in the face.
In the face or in his hand, I don't know which. They're looking at that right hand, and that's his passing hand.
Cody Carlson is the backup. Carlson was late for the charter flight that the Oilers had out of Houston yesterday. And while they were waiting for him, they discovered a hydraulic problem with the airplane. It delayed their departure from Houston.
Yeah, unsportsmanlike conduct after the incomplete pass. Number 81 on the offense. It is 3rd down.
Second of the day for unsportsmanlike conduct against Givens. But the Houston charter, while they were waiting for Carlson, they discovered a hydraulic problem. They were late getting to Cincinnati, couldn't work out in the foul weather here at Riverfront as they had planned. And Carlson, though he was late, the player said if he's fine, they'll pay it because they discovered the hydraulic problem before they got into the air. Had he been on time, maybe it would have been airborne before that was discovered.
Yeah. This man should have been on the field the last series, folks. Right now, they're tending to Warren Moon's right hand over there on the bench. It's bleeding. Work has to be done on it. Oiler fans and teammates can only hope that it's not serious.
Spoke of Boomer's durability earlier, and certainly Warren Moon fits that category, especially in the run and shoot where the quarterback often takes a pounding.
Let's look at this hit again on Moon. Now, it appears he's hitting the head area, but watch his right hand. His right hand is going to get hung up maybe on the face mask. Immediately, look, Warren Moon is checking that right hand of his.
That's similar to the injury that hit Al Smith, the Oilers linebacker, last week when he got his hand caught in the face mask of a Kansas City Chief and suffered a dislocated thumb. So it could be damaging when you hit your hand on the helmet of an opposing player. Just a minute 40 left in this game. Cody Carlson's going to try to put it in the air, and does, way downfield. Too far downfield, as it turns out, intended for Curtis Duncan. There's a flag down as Carter and Bussey sandwich Duncan, and a Bengal appears to be hurt.
Well, Bussey was more intent on making a hit as opposed to intercepting the pass that time. That's Carter, Carl Carter, who's up in our right, number 45. But if we see a replay, this number 27 Bussey clearly has a shot.
Defensive pass interference. Number 27, first down.
That's what they call, so I guess it is. Let's look at Bussey. There's Moon leaving with his, appears to be his right thumb area on his right hand.
Warren Moon leaving the sideline and heading to the locker room, hoping to get ready for that must-win game next week against the Steelers. Carlson's pass there is incomplete.
Well, you know, we said earlier, Tom, there's a time when you've got to say the game's out of reach. We're not going to win it. We shouldn't have our stud in there, the trigger man. And Coach Pardee and his staff chose to have Warren Moon in there with the rest of his guys and try to pull out this victory with such short time. And Coach Pardee and the rest of the guys can only hope that Moon injury is not a serious one.
While we have a moment, we'd like to thank our teammates in the booth, John Dillon and Doug Kidd are spotters, and John Blanco on stats. 2nd and 10 here for the Oilers with a minute 28 left, and the Bengals up by 20. Carlson's pass complete to Drew Hill, who takes it out of bounds for a first down inside the Bengal 40.
Check this replay here again. You see Warren Moon checking out his right hand here. It appears to be his thumb area. And certainly Coach Pardee and his staff, everyone's going to be concerned with Warren's, the extent of that injury. You've got to have him in there. Cody Carlson's a good player, but he hasn't had much work this season, and he's certainly not the player that Warren Moon is.
Cody Carlson had played in 4 games prior to today. In fact, he directed a touchdown drive against Cincinnati in the earlier meeting. That pass sails over the head of the intended receiver, which was Bernard Ford.
Pretty tough for a quarterback come off the bench and get into the throwing offense right away. You see Carlson stretching his arm out a little bit. He's not warmed up much. He's a pretty darn good passer, good size, and he's a good quarterback too. As I mentioned, he just hasn't played much, and he's playing behind one of the very best in the league.
He started 5 times for Warren Moon back in '88 when Moon was injured in the first game of the season. Carlson holds every Baylor career passing record. In fact, as a senior, was Southwest Conference Offensive Player of the Year. 33 touchdowns through the air at Baylor. Ooh, what a hit he took as he unloaded that one. Carlson was knocked flat on his back as he let that ball go. Francis got to him.
Well, when the defense knows you've got to pass, watch what happens. Here's Francis after Carlson releases that ball. My goodness gracious. He landed on that left shoulder, and he's all right, thank goodness. A vicious hit put on him. Clean, I might add, by Francis.
And you know what?
Linebacker.
Francis is from Baylor, too.
Well, that goes to show you it doesn't carry any weight just because you've gone to the same school with one another.
Yeah, the Alumni Association is going to have to straighten this out. Carlson's pass is intended for Jeffries. Did he get it or not? Apparently incomplete. So as the dust clears, or the frost clears in the AFC Central today, the Pittsburgh Steelers, with their big victory over Cleveland, will have a one-game lead on Cincinnati and Houston, who remain tied after this Cincinnati victory. So Cincinnati now must win against Cleveland next week and hope that Houston beats Pittsburgh, because the Bengals will win a tiebreaker against the Steelers, having defeated them twice this season. Houston still has a chance to go to the playoffs. Pittsburgh does too. So the one change that occurred today was that Cincinnati stays alive. Everybody's still alive in the AFC Central, everybody but Cleveland. That pass intercepted. Intercepted in the end zone by David Fulcher. He's going to try to run it out. And then ducks out of bounds just short of the 20. Well, it's been a long, cold afternoon for the Oilers, who broke on top in this game. In fact, at one point appeared to have control of it. Appeared to have Cincinnati knocked back on their heels. And they opened, after being tied at halftime, opened the third quarter on a great kickoff return by Gerald the Ice Cube McNeil. Converted it into a touchdown to take the lead. But from that point on, it was all Cincinnati. The Cincinnati defense stiffened and held the run and shoot in check. And meanwhile, the offense had a string of touchdowns on 5 of 6 possessions. And Cincinnati just took control of the football game throughout most of the third and fourth quarters. With just 54 seconds and counting, the Bengals will down it and stay alive for the playoffs. Here's the way they stand now in the AFC Central. Pittsburgh with an easy win over Cleveland today, 9-6, but only 2-3 in the division. That hurts them in the tiebreaker category. Houston 8-7 and Cincinnati 8-7. The games next week will find Cleveland at Cincinnati and Pittsburgh at Houston. And this will be the final play. So the two bitter rivals, the Bengals and the Oilers, in a crucial game at Riverfront Stadium, find the Bengals exploding in the second half to beat Jack Pardee and the Oilers. The final count will be 40-20. James Brooks gaining 200 yards in the afternoon to key the Cincinnati attack. We'll be back to Riverfront for some final comments in just a moment.